Whether you're an enthusiastic creative writer or a casual writer looking to tell a good story, a local nonprofit organization has a unique environment that is quiet but energized in a creative space. All the details are coming up on Polk Place. Welcome to Polk Place. I'm your host, Jeremy Morady, and with me here today, returning to us is Jane Waters, the Executive Director for Arts Ensemble.
Hello, hello.
And here to fill us in on a bunch of new things she's got going on.
We do.
So, Jane, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Great to see you again.
Yeah, it's always good to be here.
So, you got some stuff going on for the writers here in the county, and wanted to talk to you a little bit about what all you have planned.
Well, you know, kind of our second generation gallery is Outer Space Gallery. You know, when we started 12 years ago at Arts Ensemble, we were in this amazing space, and eventually it got sold. And when we sold, we had to relocate a couple of our artists, and one of those artists was Trent Manning. And so we moved to the downtown area, literally right next to Grove Roots in Winter Haven. At that time, there was no Grove Roots. It's a couple of years ago, but everybody knows about Grove Roots, so I say that. But we have this amazing space that when you walk in, you're inspired. It just is that kind of environment. I mean, even when there's nothing on the walls, when we're between shows, we have guests that'll stop in, you know, to my office or something. Like, the energy in this place is so cool. And I was writing there about, I guess it was about 6 months ago, and I was like, you know what, we need to open this up to writers. And just kind of played around with it for a while, invited a few of my friends over and said, you know, I want to do free writing in here and see what happens. Kind of an essay form of writing, just pick a topic and fly, you know. And some of the stuff that we came up with was a lot of fun and ridiculous, but a lot of fun. And it kind of inspired me to go, you know what, we need to change at least one of these rooms into a space where writers maybe aren't coming in to write on what they're actually trying to get published. Maybe they're coming in just to fine-tune some of their skills, or just let it all out, just get it all out on paper. Whatever the writing is, just a space where you can walk in, grab a cup of coffee, grab a glass of wine, if it's in the afternoon, grab a glass of wine, sit in this really amazing space and just write. Very quiet. We transformed Karen Ratana's private gallery space into a writing space. She's also a writer, so we definitely got permission. Yeah. And the energy just in that space is inspiring. And so that's kind of what the idea was to create a space where get you out of your writing funk, come in, sit down, just dump something on paper that gets your creative juices flowing again, so that maybe it gets you back on track. We also have Wi-Fi, so it's a great research location. Just come in, sit down, chill for a while. You know, eventually, I hope to see many writers coming in, and this being sort of an area of fellowship among writers.
Well, I always found, coming up in writing my first trade, you are always inspired by those who are around you. And if you're in that same environment, you thrive off of each other, spitting ideas out, going back and forth. So is that what you guys are kind of aiming for, is to have that kind of group and environment to really just kind of breed creativity?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's completely exactly what we're trying to do. You know, sometimes when, you know, writers get the rap of being kind of, you know, the introvert, they hang out in their caves and they write, and that isn't who we are. We want to hang out in a social environment, and we do want to brainstorm. And there should not be just this seclusion all of the time. And I agree, I think that we feed well off of one another, especially if we have writer's block. If you're in the middle of writer's block, sometimes you just really need to talk to another writer.
Yeah. And sometimes not even necessarily about what you're writing. I mean, just getting out and, you know, talking to other people who understand what you're going through, and just to have that conversation there with someone who knows your trade, your craft, what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And that's just amazing. So
yeah, I'm excited about the possibility of 3 or 4 writers in the same space at the same time. You know, if I said my end goal, I don't have an end goal. The end goal is, let's see what we can do with this. I think that what I want to create is a space where creativity is the absolute end result, and I don't think there's a limit to that. When you get more than one writer in the same room, some crazy stuff happens. You know, their story becomes a story that's solid with a lot of content that wasn't there before. You know, if I sat down with Jeremy and I wanted to write and I hit a block and I'm talking to you, you're going to feed what I'm doing. You know, and that's what I want to see happen, as one thought. And you know, kind of many other things. You know, I'm programmed, that's my whole world, is filling gaps in the arts and in community. And in the community with the arts when we can. But with this particular community, the community of writers, that's a different group. That's a different group of people. They're not just, you don't just walk into a room with sculptors if you're a writer and just get crazy inspired. You know, it almost takes you off your game a little bit to do that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that many things come of this, that this becomes a location that writers can not only come to fellowship, to brainstorm, to throw creativity on a table and see what happens with it, but also where they can come and actually work when they need to work in a different environment. The space at the gallery lends itself to, just as I mentioned earlier, a creativity just walking in.
Well, walk us through that. What does that look like? Well,
you know, from the outside,
someone who hasn't been there,
most people don't even know that we're a gallery, which, you know, we have like the largest wall mural.
Yeah.
It's the entire side of the building. It takes up the entire parking lot space of the Grove Roots parking lot area. But most people aren't really completely sure what it is. First of all, it's called outer space. And so, you know, talking with several people, I hear a lot of different thoughts about what it is. It's just stuff that's outer space. They don't know, and they're not coming in. And because the windows...
You're walking right into Star Trek or something, right?
There's a weird mural on the back of the building and something they don't get on the side of the building. But when you walk in, it's pretty breathtaking. Some of our partners in this effort have been the Polk Museum of Art, Polk State College. We have benefactors who are dedicated to this one project only, from the Costa Rica area. And walking in, you walk into a giant gallery space that from the road, it is breathtaking. It's just, you open the door and go, wow, I did not know this was here. And because we do progressive art, emerging artists, very edgy, very trendy, everything, you know, each of our new shows well represents something out of this world cool, kind of the outer space theme. Okay. The writer space is in our private gallery, sponsored by Karen Ratana, our founding artist. And that space is equally awe-inspiring. It is amazing to walk in, but the temperament of the space is a little less. It's calm. It's a very quiet space. Beautiful, beautiful paintings on the walls. But as you walk through the gallery, each new environment is very different. My office, which is typically opened up as a classroom space, I keep the doors open and there's people working in there on paintings, and because I'm inspired by those that are creative, and so if I'm working through some crazy report that I have to turn in to city, county, state, whatever, you know, I'm like, oh, will you please come and paint and let me, let me work on that. So there's always art being created. Trent's studio space, Trent Manning, artist Trent Manning, whether he's working on 2D or 3D, whatever his show is, the space is wide open to see, and it is the coolest studio space you can imagine. There are things hanging in there that make you stop and think. You just go, how is he going to use that next? Where is that going? So the space as a whole, and you know, and I didn't really mention the back space, which is our garden space, the outer space garden, and the outdoor studio. We do a lot of school groups out there and that kind of thing, so that paint doesn't fall in the gallery, of course. But it's equally inspiring, and a lot of the times I'll get to work and there'll be somebody having coffee in the back. We don't know where they came from. We don't ask. We don't care. We love that. Yeah. You know, so we're starting to see community kind of come in and go, this space is really friggin' cool. That's the entire objective.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you've really constructed a nice creative space around that, folks can come in and do their thing, and I think it's going to benefit the community as a whole too.
Yeah, I hope so. It really is that we're all artists. And I play this little game with my teenagers, especially when I'm going to talk to a high school group about what I do in nonprofit work in our community, and how art is really just a tool for me to get into somebody's life and talk about education and what their real needs are. But I always say, how many of you think you're an artist in here? And it never fails, 2 hands go up. And I go, well, how many of you think you're going to be an engineer? And then 4 or 5 hands go up. And I have the opportunity to say, you absolutely can't be an engineer unless you're an artist. Mm-hmm. It's not a possibility. A line is line.
Yep.
So it gives us that opportunity. And I always save writing for the last, because that's my favorite art. And I get to the end of it and I go, so how many of you like to write? Who in here does lyrical poetry and think you're going to be like the next songwriter, and try to really touch them? And never fails, half the class is that. Half of the class is writers. Every single time, it's at least half. And this space is about that. This new space is about that. One, if you're a writer, you should be sharing your craft. You just should, with those that are up and coming, and I'm hoping to see some of that go on in there. As time goes, I really want to see, and we'll plan for this, writers that come in and spend a day that we can announce, hey, we have, I'm going to use you, we have Jeremy at the writer space at Outer Space today. Come in and talk to him about what your project is. See if he has something or some insight for you. That's kind of the idea, is not just to create cool space to do your own thing, but to create cool space that becomes a real resource.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, it sounds wonderful. Can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Much more than just a writer's den, the new writer space at the Arts Ensemble Outer Space Gallery is open to the public. The purpose of the new program is to offer writers a unique environment that is quiet but energized in a creative space. This location will offer Wi-Fi and writing desks in a cool and quiet private gallery setting. Writers are encouraged to stop and do research, write, brainstorm, and enjoy the writer's den away from home. Special programming for writers and authors are on the schedule. Once a month, writers will have an opportunity to enjoy a glass of wine or a soft drink and share ideas, thoughts, and excitement writer style. This is a writers-only social gathering. For dates and times, give Outer Space Gallery and Studio a call at 863-845-2984 or look them up on the web at arts2doors.com.